and the combined practice exam for 3, fall review for 3, and this, the CCADF is actually just a feedback group of questions that people have sent me. A lot of it has to do with dates and code sections. And there's some code section questions about certain sections that is kind of all fed into that bucket there. But I can get you, I'll try to do it at breaks. I can sign you in and give you your information after break. You can go online and do it anytime you want to. This is set up, I think, at the end of March. If you go past that, it's email and I generally leave everybody in. I had to go purge my row every once in a while. Some people already passed your test. Some of them have not yet. Some of them haven't used this, so I'm going to take it out. But you see some use it more than others. This guy right here, Matthew Devon, works with the controller's office. He's kind of struggling a little bit. And he's working on this. These others, just a bunch of people, different places.
Yeah,
Office Station, some from Lubbock, some from El Paso. Anyway, then I got a level 4, I got a different code level 4. When it adds to the quiz up here, it adds some math, it adds the law into it. Adds the law and adds math. Adds 2 more practice to that, a little more exposure there. And I'm working on my 100 questions for the CAD.
Oh, yeah.
100 questions for all people to take.
I would like
Just
that.
for the office staff. Hope we get my office staff all on the same page. This is actually, I actually tutored the dark side a little bit.
To the dark,
Huh?
the dark side.
I tutored some agents, I'm pretty little practice good for the agents, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's one agency I work with a little bit, and I just spent a couple of days getting them just basic copy that stuff. So I kind of got a little dark side in me too, but anyway, I can't live over there, I just visit every once in a while. Hey, that's kind of it in a nutshell, okay? I'll get yourself a break. If not, I have first thing in the morning. I'll shoot for break. We'll see how it goes. But it is a way to study. It's very similar to what you'll, it's got one question at a time on the screen, it's multiple choice, it gives you some practice in that environment a little bit too. So I'll try to do that break maybe.
Is it timed?
Huh?
Is it timed?
Yes.
It's timed.
Each session is timed, so it gets you used to taking the test with the timer running, you know what I'm saying?
So
What it is, it's gonna be like, say if your final exam in particular approach at 50 questions, it's probably gonna be 25 of those selected questions, okay? So it's gonna be something you've seen before. The number one feedback I get from people is the questions are not worded the same. What they want you to do though, is be able to read the question, take what you know, and apply it to the question even though it's worded differently, okay? They don't want to just give it to you straightforward, make it easy for you. That'd be too simple, wouldn't it? I would think it would be. Pop this back in. Anyway, this is a way to study. Maybe it'll help you prepare a little bit. I've had really good feedback from lots of people, lots of places.
How often do they change out those questions for the test?
How often do you what?
Do they change out the questions?
My understanding is there's a database of questions. There's a constant annual purging, my understanding, okay? I'm speaking on the committee. What they're doing, what they'll do, I'll give you a classic example several years ago. They wanted to take out the question about which section in USPAP has mass appraisal, development, and reporting, which was unit standard 6. They want to pull that question out, because everybody got it right. If they wanted to leave in the question, then only 15% get it right. So Shane was battling with him. If you're going to take the easy one out, take the hard one out too. Don't be taking all the easy ones out, leaving the hard ones in. So there's a little battle going on there about the questions. The problem is, no one has access to those questions. Okay? Period, the end. There's nobody has those questions to practice with or whatever. I've had chief appraisers call me pretty upset that he's got 2 appraisers can't pass the level 3. And we get a couple of questions. Somebody's got to have it. Nobody has a couple of those questions, okay? the database maintained by PSI. It covers the material we're covering, but nobody has those exact questions to study, okay? And so it's not gonna happen anytime soon, or probably ever. So you gotta be prepared for a broad knowledge of materials. And you could have a quick test that says, hey man, that's pretty easy, you know what I'm saying? He may go, oh my God, where do you get these questions from? So it's kind of the luck of the draw. It's randomly selected. If you are sitting side by side, you have two different tests. It's on a computer. Bear in mind, this computer you're gonna be using will be antiquated, okay? Don't be honest. It's gonna have a small screen. It's gonna either be green or orange in the print. Not gonna be a color screen. It'll be black and white, but you're gonna be like a step back in time to technology. So you're not gonna necessarily feel warm and fuzzy about the screen you're looking at. It's gonna be small, orange and green, so don't expect a 24-inch monitor with color pictures on it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be pretty step back. It's gonna be pretty crude, so be aware that you go to it, okay? But I think I firmly believe if you will study your materials, put some effort into it, everybody has the capabilities of passing, okay? Those that are struggling the most that I see as people that don't test well or procrastinate. We're all guilty of that, okay? We put things off, put things off, put things off, put things off. Just suck it up and go do it, you know what I'm saying? If you miss it by 2 points, 4 points, 6 points, get your little cheat sheet list out, email me, text me, or whatever you do, say, hey, I'm bombing these areas, send me some reinforcements, okay? And I want you to get back on the horse as soon as possible. I don't want you to wait 3 months and forget about it. Does that make sense? So that I think that's the frustration part of it. We have life pressures. How many of y'all married? There's pressures there, okay? I don't care who you are, what the relationship is, okay? There's pressures, there's finance pressure, there's kids pressures, there's all kinds of pressures in the world. By the way, we got this test we gotta pass, okay? So you pile all that in the basket and, you know, kids vomiting and everything else, it's not real pretty, you know what I'm saying? You got the kids got the fever, kids got the flu, I'm having to study, I got a test Friday, okay? It's just so much stuff. That's why I think sometimes if we can get away from the office for a couple of days to do this, that's great. But you know what? Those problems are still happening at the house. Dad or somebody's having to take care of those kids. If kid's sick, you gotta be there anyway, okay? So it's kind of a flip-flop, belly walk deal, okay? So, that all being said, I think we will give you enough overall information in this class. I think if you combine that with the little sheet I'm gonna give you, kind of a Cliff Note version of a level 3, level 4, it gives you some emphasis on what somebody else had. I may have enough copies of that already done, believe it or not, from Greg. So I got that. I got a little Cliff Notes for 4. So I think if we give you some Cliff Notes, some online practice, some reviewing class, we're gonna give you, I think, a good overall picture of this stuff. Does that mean you can have questions you don't know? I promise you will, okay? You'll have those brain fart moments too. And you just can't remember something you know you should know, but you know, but you don't know that day, okay? And then sometimes it comes to you. As soon as you push submit, you remember the answer, okay? You know what I'm saying? So, great part about this, I still say, is you know immediately when you passed or failed. When I took my test, we had to do it in Austin only, A. On certain days of the month, B. In a big old crowded room with 300 people. And I've been on the front row here with 2 RPA candidates, level 3. There could be 50 of those, could be 50 level 4s, could be some RTCs, some RTAs, all in the same room, doing different tests. It's all subjectively graded. And then you find out 2 weeks later in the mail, the envelope comes to your office from BTPE. And everybody gathers around your desk as you open your envelope, whether you pass or fail or not, okay? So, there's some advantages of that, disadvantages of that. But anyway, it's just a different way of doing it. It's technology moving forward. But I think all of y'all are going to be okay. They're on your half a day. Both of you seem pretty bright. And then we'll work on the things we need to work on. Hopefully get you over the hump. I've had really good luck. Here's what I'm doing. I'll have somebody text me or email me from Corpus. and tell me that, hey, I just made 16 on my level 3 test, somebody told me you had something online that helped me. And I'll send that deal, I had really good luck with those people that was close, getting over the hump, does that make sense? So I'll send them the cheat sheet, I'll send them anything they need. Sometimes if you just have a little help, I'm thinking, sometimes if you know somebody actually cares sometimes, I hate to be ugly, but it's just life, okay? If somebody, actually, my boss told me to read the green book, you know, at least you're willing to do something else for me, they didn't tell me to read the green book, you know? I forget where that was at, they was dead serious, read that green book, that's all you need to know. And I thought, really, you know, that's really encouraging for them to read the whole green book and pass the test, but anyway, so. Welcome to some people's world. But I'm gonna say this, some of the problem is, in this industry today, is resources. You're in a 3 or 4 person office. They don't have a lot of money budgeted for education, no offense. So sometimes there's not any money to budget to send you to a review class. So if I can send you something online, that's better what you're gonna get for nothing, okay? And it's I'll pay right now, I'll pay $49.95, but if it's a double, next year it's gonna cost me $100 to do that, but it's really cheap in the big picture, does that make sense? I probably got 100 man hours copy and pasting questions in there. My son did it in high school with his science students, where the idea come from. He teaches high school science in Chico. And Chico, probably in the world scheme of things, probably 25–30% of the people in Chico qualify for free and reduced lunches, okay? So it's not a real affluent area. He went out there and found the QUIA website, it's a commercial site, and went out and found questions. What he did, he took the company doing the state test for Texas, he went to other states, found doing state questions in other states, and they would gather some of the information up and put it into a database for his students to practice on for their science and biology exams with the state test, when they standardized testing. He was running like 92–93% pass rate across all, from all ethnic boundaries, everything around about 92–93%, which is really good in science and biology in high school nowadays. So he's able to do that, and now he's doing it in the whole school system. He's able to help a teacher set up practice tests for her students to take, and he can analyze where the teacher's deficiencies at in teaching the kids. Funny story, but not a funny story in the last 6 months. He has a teacher that had a new teeth they was working on. So Brent set up a test online for this teacher to test the students after they finished this particular teeth or thing they're working on. Well, the kids didn't do very well. So Brent goes back to the teacher and says, "How your kids, you know, made about 68% of that test." "Well, I really didn't get to all that stuff yet. I only covered part of it, but not all of it." And Brent says, "What part did you cover?" So he tells Brent he only covered certain parts of it. So Brent goes back and looks. That made worse on the part he covered than on the part he didn't cover. But the school system's known all along this is a lousy teacher, okay? They just keep him around. So now they got evidence to say, okay, he's not really doing his job. So that may help them to put him on probation and eventually maybe attrition him out because he's not real efficient. So anyway, that's a sad thing, but a good thing. To make sense, if you get in that class, you want somebody that's in there that's efficient. So anyway, who knows? Let's talk about general appraisal. I'm on page 36, and we're gonna have 5 questions on your level 3 and 5 on level 4. So you can probably then expect some things in this section to be on your exam probably, okay?
Probably.
So these terms are in your exam probably. Maybe a few math questions. Let's talk about it a little bit. Anticipation. I've had somebody tell me they've seen this somewhere. Anticipation is an economic principle that states the value is derived from the future expected benefits. If the question said something like this, Mr. Jones buys the cabin at the lake 5 years before his retirement and plans on spending time there after his retirement, what principle is involved in that purchase? It's anticipation. He's anticipating what? Someday being able to retire and enjoy it. So you might have a question that gives you an example. You gotta pick out a principle. Sometimes you gotta think that through a little bit, okay? Next question here. Prunted. Nobody's fed this back to me, but ties to the recipient's ownership. Both prescription and necessity easements are also prunted easements. I haven't had a lot of feedback about easement questions. You know, if you talk about easements in Texas, it gets pretty broad, pretty great, isn't it? can't be landlocked, or yet I can't get to it. If somebody's been going back and forth, then obviously somebody's got an easement, or somebody's even by prescription. So we get into those issues in our offices, but I haven't heard anything feedback. Assemblage is where the purchase of adjacent parcels land to assemble a larger tract of land. We've seen that in our area, when somebody buys several smaller pieces, it puts the Walmart 2% there, or the Lowe's there. We see that build up sometimes in our smaller areas. How about balance? Economic principle that property will have more value if the surrounding area properties are complementary property uses. So if you got things around it that complement it rather than compete with it, that sometimes creates up what we call a balance. Change, an economic principle that the market is in its continual state of change. Change. As we say today, what's happening? The market's changing in your area. Stock market's changing. Interest rates are probably fluctuating somewhat. Everything out there is changing sometimes. Competition. Substantial profits will attract competition, and increased competition has made them the ruinous competition. My favorite story, not my favorite story. We sold fireworks one time. Had a fireworks stand. First we made $1,000. So you made $1,500, we made $2,500, we made $3,000, made $3,500. About the 5th or 6th year, what happened in Chico? There's about 4 or 5 fireworks stands. So ruinous competition kind of made it less desirable. We did it about 15 years. It's way up around year 10 or 12 where we get competition. The first 3 years, it's just kind of clear sailing. You buy it for $0.10, it sells for $1. You can do buy one, get one free all day long. But you pay $0.10 for it, it sells for $1. It's ridiculous. But anyway. Conformity, another principle, stated that property value will rise to its highest possible level if the architectural styles are relatively homogeneous and surrounding land uses are compatible with its use. I haven't seen a whole lot about that one. Consistent use, I've heard some feedback about this. Improvements on the site are the same as the highest and best use of the land. If its use is not consistent, the building is a burden on the land and has no value. Property must be valued with a single use, cannot be valued land according to one use and improvements to another. I think about it in Decatur. I know Dairy Queen, built in 1960. That's at the corner of Bithis 380 and Highway 287. We've got about $1,000 on the building and about $15 on the dirt. That property's highest and best use is what? Those at Dairy Queen down. They remodeled 6 times, had playground in, playground out, Fish Friday, everything else, but they took it back and forth. But literally, that dirt is worth more than the property. So sometimes that creates a burden on the property. Here's where we get interesting. This is highlighted in red for a reason. I've had lots of feedback about these uses. And they're sometimes a little tricky, but yet if we think about them, they're not too bad. A consumptive use. An example of a consumptive use is when somebody buys a house. You are the consumer, and you're going to consume the product by using the house. When the probable use is by the purchaser, it may be called a consumptive use. This is typical of a residential usage, and the market or comp sales approach is usually the best indicator of value as it directly reflects the actions of the participants in the market. So there's several uses here we're going to talk about. This being the first one, but I've had lots of feedback, and it could say, mom and pop go down and buy a house. Which principle of use is most applicable to this situation? Or it could say, mom and pop bought a house. We know it's consumptive use. What is the best indicator of value? That's going to be the comparative sales approach, okay? So there's several ways that could turn into a question, but it's just something I've had several people say, those use questions, those use questions, those use questions. We don't use this every day, folks, no offense, okay? So it's something that might show up in your lunchbox. Several people have told me they had in the past. It's just one of those things you need to pay special attention to when you're studying. I think it's in your Cliff Notes 3 and maybe in your 4 too. Contribution, another question that could come back. Somebody added a pool to their house Pool costs $35,000, pool only adds $15,000 to appraised value. What principle is that? It's the principle of contribution. So you can have this question as a definition or an example question. They want you to understand that is a contribution to that property. Economic principle that an improvement value must be measured by the market, not by the cost. Back to your $1 million pool. You know, our first reaction is, if the guy can afford a $1 million pool, we need to tax him for $1 million pool only. Because he's just kind of rubbing it in our face with building $1 million pool. Second impulse is, what is it worth? What comps do you have? None, okay? Where are you gonna find comps? Nowhere. I bet you Google $1 million pool, and I'm not sure what you're gonna find. You know, those big Olympic-sized pools, they don't cost $1 million at all time, do they? So anyway, it may be, he may be putting gold inlay around the trim around the edge of the pool, because he wants to. In my part of the world, he'd be missing some tiles by tomorrow morning, okay? Somebody be chipping those tiles away and hauling them off, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be ugly. Once you put that picture in the paper, $1 million pool with gold tiles, there'll be some redneck out there trying to harvest those things at night, then he can turn them into coins tomorrow, okay? But the problem is, we've had some rednecks in my part of the world steal something. Where are you gonna hop that at, by the way, okay?
Yeah.
It's been on the news, dude. You know, that's why they started putting serial numbers on copper wire on telephone poles. Because they're hacking that stuff off. You know, there's been a couple places where guys hit those ground wires, so that if the ground wire was hot, you know, they found them out there with the axe in their hand. You know what I'm saying? It's over, baby. So anyway.
We had an Odessa in my neighborhood, down the street from me, that, you know, they were stealing those big spools of electrical
Yes.
wire. And they were stripping them inside their garage.
Oh, really?
And they were going and selling them.
Yeah. I was out in the country working one day up in Alboy several years ago. Two things happened that week. There was the Transcendental Meditation Center up in Forestburg. We call it the Flight Training Center for TM. No offense to y'all, okay? But anyway, so, had these big old gold dog and place burnt one day. You see that fire come down where I'm probably 15 miles, I see that thing burning one day. That week, next time, I come around a corner out in the middle of nowhere, there's a guy with a 55-gallon drum with a fire engine, burning insulation off of wires. Well, I pull up the signs on the door. It's like, who is this, you know? Praise the Lord, not sure. Okay, thank you. You know, just like, it happened in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a county road, burning wire in a bucket, tripping it off. That's expensive. My brother's an electrician, was an electrician, and he'd bring home little pieces from the job, just scraps it thrown away, and pile them up in the barrel in the garage, and get three or four barrels full, $400-500, just that quick. People just line up to buy stuff, man. Anyway, so, what's the family secret? Okay. An encumbrance. Any limitation that affects the property's rights and value. You could have engrossed the right to use a property for a specific specified purpose, such as utility easement. Increasing and decreasing returns. The four agents of production, land, labor, capital, or improvements in management coordination must be in balance for a property to produce optimal results. So you're gonna have things kind of needs to be in balance, don't they? If you spend too much on the land, too much on the labor, too much on the improvements, or too much on the management, it could get out of balance and not produce an optimal result. We see that happen, don't we? Somebody's well along building a house, doing a great deal, and they wind up paying more money than they should have paid. I've seen that happen in my world, okay? I've seen it happen forward and reverse both, you know what I'm saying? I'm the anal person that somebody's gonna work for me. What's this gonna cost in a ballpark before we start? I don't need sticker shock after the fact. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to be, I just kinda wanna know where I'm at before I start. Does that make sense? I'm gonna pay you when you finish, but I just don't wanna go, you know, I don't wanna gasp when I finish up that deal, okay? Here's another one of those uses. The investment use. It could be, we talk about retail. Properties that are purchased for their income stream, like a retail retail center, something like that. The income approach is the best indicator of value of this type of property. Question could say, John Smith buys a strip center down with the mall. What type of use is this? Investment use. John Smith buys a strip center down with the mall. We know it's for investment use. What's the logical approach to value we're gonna use? Income approach. There's several ways that question can be worded into that question. It might not be as clear as some other questions. Let's talk a little bit about the necessity easement. When a seller divides land and creates inaccessible parcels, it creates the easement by necessity. In other words, if I sell you the back 5 acres of my property, then you have the necessity to get there, don't you? You have somebody to get there. We have people coming all the time that have a 5 acre tract and the 5 acre tract behind them, and they want to argue the 5 acre tract behind them is landlocked. How do you figure that? Well, I can't sell it. Well, it connects to your property. Well, I can't sell it by itself. Well, yes, you can. You give an easement across your property. It's still landlocked. I can't sell it. It's like arguing that wall, you know? And they're just pretty sure they're always right. But come on, dude, you know, you have access to your property to get there, so why are we having this discussion? But they're always trying to figure out some way to get value over something. But anyway, one of those issues we have to deal with, don't we? How about a prescription easement? It arises when a non-owner openly and continuously uses someone else's property for 10 years or more. So we talk about the 5 acres behind my house. If some guy goes in and out of there through my property for 10 years, there's an easement by prescription. In other words, he's used it enough to establish there's a place to go in and out. And it's hard for me to turn around if he sells that and tell the next guy you can't do it. Because of the fact that we've established somebody's went in and out for 10 years, just because we sell it, oh, I'm sorry, you can't go no more because Bill's my buddy and I don't know who you are. Well, you let Bill establish pretty well the priority of going in and out, don't you? Do y'all get caught up in those things too? It's our problem for some reason. You know, they're fighting with a neighbor over a boundary. Neighbors, retaining walls on their property, and you should be taxing him for me. You should be taxing me for it. You should be taxing him or whatever. It's over a survey. Go hire a surveyor. You know. Well, how do you look? Let's see, y'all can survey. We don't survey. Well, I had a guy that didn't call me and tell me that we're supposed to survey out a cemetery. No, we got 130 acres. It's got an old Wagner cemetery on it. I mean, a really old cemetery. Where the guy applied for the exemption on the whole 130 acres. It's only a portion, but the surveyor won't even go out there. He's tried, there's no quote points to start from. So they've got to do something to help me figure out what they do. You got a lawyer involved, he's real nice, but you know, they don't have clues in that story. But anyway, let's talk about, okay, next. Productive use. Another one of those uses. An example would be manufacturing. In other words, we are producing a product. We are manufacturing a product. So a good productive use properties are purchased for their ability to produce a product. They're usually owner occupied. And the cost approach is the best method to appraise these properties. So there's several questions you can twist into that one. They've got the ABC matchbook property. What use will the property be used for? It's going to be productive use. What method we're going to use to appraise it? We'll probably use the cost approach, aren't we? Because there's no ABC matchbook comps available, are they? Now here's the problem you get into with those issues on the cost approach. You know it pool cost $1 million. I'm changing a little bit here. But how do you prove that $1 million? You don't have a schedule to get to $1 million on a pool, I'm pretty sure. I don't either, you know what I'm saying? That's one of those deals you can't get through with a bow and arrow, you know what I'm saying? But, in this case here, if you got a new manufacturing plant that comes in, and they go to the Chamber of Commerce and say they're gonna spend $30 million, and you got it on for $29.9, they're gonna scream, aren't they? Because you're not treating me fair. can you sell for $29.9? You mean to tell me that bank loan for $30.2 million is not any good? What's for the bank? Well, some bank thought it was worth $30.2 million, or we wouldn't have got a loan. So you get all those arguments, and it's hard to fight those battles sometimes. But anyway, how about some progression? Is an economic principle that an inferior property value is increased by its proximity to better priced properties the same use class. You want the worst house in the best neighborhood, don't you? 'Cause it'll suck you along on it. Have y'all noticed a fee appraisal before? You've seen one of those,
Yeah.
as the taxpayer calls it, the real appraisal by the real appraiser, you know? Because they always, this is a real appraisal by a real appraiser, really? And you know that guy's name, he's like, oh God, he's still working. I thought they tore his license up 10 years ago, because the guy's just not very good. We have those, y'all have those too. Y'all laughing, but y'all have some guy that, when they reappraise him by Billy Bob, you think, oh my God, what did he do this time? You gotta keep straight facing with the taxpayer, you know. It could be the brother-in-law, but you know, you look at that thing and he'll use all kinds of comps, and you may have that house in a class 12, but Billy Bob may use it for a comp for a class 7 house, and vice versa. See, they don't have a lot of change in that, but progression means you're gonna suck those properties along a little bit to a higher level. You got the regression, the superior property is decreased by its proximity to inferior property, same class. You'll have more arguments about this, won't you? Well, there's that double wide next door. Well, that's where your kids live, isn't it? You know, that's how you know, you get into that, don't you? I got a guy protest every year down in Newark Beach Estates in that area. Got a $300,000 house, you got a $300,000 mortgage, and there's dumps on both sides. Mother and father-in-law, brother and sister-in-law, okay? He got free land on the family compound, the reason he built there. He wants to, every year, about his value, it's a bad neighborhood. He picked the neighborhood out. The bank agreed with me, by the way, $300,000 on the mortgage, talk about $300,000 on the house. He wants to protest, argue about the neighborhood. Well, that's one of those things, you know. How'd you get thought, well, you know, that's different. Well, no, it's appraisal, okay? But anyway, that's the argument you're gonna hear a whole lot, don't you? How about a riparian right? Somebody said they had a riparian right question, but it just talks about allows the holder access to or use of a body of water. You got a right to use the body of water. Oh, hang on, whoa, back up, rewind. Substitution. Economic principle that no one will pay more for a property than it would for acceptable substitute. Replacement cost new, usually that's the upper limit. Is that what is a house, maybe in a different neighborhood? Also, let's talk about this. I got a pencil in my book for some reason. When you're talking about doing a sales grid on your sales analysis, what are you trying to do? You're trying to substitute that comp for that subject property. By comparing that, you're substituting it for that subject property. You could also use it in substituting an income stream. You know, these properties rent for X. Your subject's over here. You say, okay, this rents for X. Subject's rent for, so something, income approach. Income over here would be applicable to income over there. So there's several ways you can use that substitution in our analysis theory. So if your question dealt with something about an income producing property and another property similar, you could be substituting that. And you're adjusting your comps, you're kind of substituting your comparable sales back to your subject. So let's talk, you could have a question that says, Mary and James Smith want to get houses, they're wanting $200,000 in neighborhood A, yet if they drive 2 more miles, neighborhood B has a similar quality house, similar construction, for $190, what principle is it talking about? Substitution. So there's several ways that question can be worded in a real life example to give you a principle of substitution. Okay, supply and demand. I'm okay. Supply and demand. I kind of hopped it up a little bit, so bear with me, okay? Supply and demand, also called elasticity. I never heard it called that, but It's the flexibility. I never had heard y'all see this review material. I just took me on the wall. I left it in there because maybe it's in that green book. I don't know. That's the pricing model reflects supply and demand in the market. Remember the question. See, it's got elasticity in there. It's supposed to say pants or briefs, right?
Yeah, right.
Stretch it. I don't know. Maybe has it got elasticity in there?
No.
Huh? I didn't think so.
Elasticity.
Anyway, always remember our principles here at supply and demand. As demand increases, with no changes apply, values are going up, aren't they? As demand decreases, with no changes apply, values will go down, won't they? As supply increases, with no change in demand, values are going to go down. And as supply decreases, with no change in demand, values will rise. So it's kind of, if you'll think it through, is when there's a shortage of something, what happens to the value? It goes up. See, I was having a little panic attack in Wise County with little Lance peanut butter and crackers. Walmart's been out for 10 days. So I was fixing to had a guy in my class that used to be the national sales manager for Lance. And I was just about ready to email him and say, hey guys, man, you know, we're starting to run low on these up here in Wise County, what's going on? But I stopped at Bowie, they had all they wanted Bowie, which is kind of weird, so.
Are they the little Nikos?
Little orange cracker peanut butter in it.
Oh, the orange ones.
I tried to buy the big brick. The dog likes them for snack at night. Couldn't leave it alone. The dog, my wife will feed the dog a whole 6-pack before bedtime. And she'll eat every one of them. And if I walk up, she'll growl like I'm gonna get her. And she'll try to bury them in the sheets. You know, I'm telling you again, when you get to 60 years old, you're not like a kid, something wrong, okay? But, you know, when I get home Thursday, guess who's happy to see me? The dog, for sure. Okay. They said if you had you back 2 cars up in front of your house, you pop the trunks up on both of them, you put the wife in one trunk, you put the dog in one trunk, you close them, open them 30 minutes later, who's happy to see you? The dog is. The wife is not, okay? It's a great example of unconditional love. And I'm being dead serious about that. The dog is happy to see me no matter what happens. The wife, on the other hand, you know, she'll be somewhat happy, not happy as a dog, but anyway. Okay, that's life, isn't it? How about surplus productivity? Income on property after the 4 ages of production labor have been paid, the income is attributable to the land. I'm gonna figure one that now. Oh, right, I'm good. How about, let's talk about the approaches to value. Sales comparison approach is the most effective use. Is consumptive. Told you all ago, it's one of those use questions. Most effective use, sales comparison approach is consumptive use. What are the strengths to the sales comparison approach? We always say, what's the strength? It reacts what? Directly to the market. What's the market doing? Boom. It tells what the market's doing. It gives us a snapshot of the market. What's going on in the marketplace? What are other people paying for these properties? And what can we expect it to sell for? If you got sales comparables for any type of property that are somewhat similar, now I feel pretty good, don't y'all? What's the problem you get into, though? I mean, I've said I want to go to work in a larger district that has tract home subdivisions. We're starting. We got 1, 2, 3. We're fixed to have 4, 5 more, 10 more maybe. Okay, sign me up for a buttload of those. I can think again, a tubload of those. Okay, because you know why? You got 6 floor plans. They're all built 2-year period. And when they sell, what's your comps look like? Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you just run those comps. You can find same floor plans, same year built, same square footage, same lot size, and argue all day long with those you want to, okay? Because that's just solid stuff. You can do that, you just look back down. I used to say that about how to get prove that wrong one time. Anyway, another story. I used to think you could teach comparative analysis to anybody. That guy named Robert proved me wrong. Okay, so anyway, he just did not grasp sales comparison, okay? He did not grasp work as a problem. Anyway, you've been on somebody that's in a job before they have to do anything, and get them a new job trying to do something that's hard, That's the problem we have there, okay? Reacts directly to the marketplace based on actual sales of comparable properties. And it's a very defensible value estimate in it. It just really gives us a great snapshot. If you got sales, this right here is hard to beat in it. It's hard to, it's what the fee appraiser's trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're all trying to replicate that property. If we got sales, it's pretty tough stuff in it. However, you get into, I remember last year I worked at Poolville, and this is the sad part, 15 years ago, Technical Track and Pool bought $2,000 an acre. 5 years ago, they bought $4,500, $5,000 an acre. Last year, I had 8 sales that showed 10-acre tracts in Pool worth $9,500 an acre, okay? And so we popped them to $9,500 an acre. People come in, and we got all the 10-acre tracts at $9,500. I mean, just put it across. We uniform, and we uniform out the back door. But people come in that bought those tracts, arguing they're not worth that. I'll pay too much for it. Here's why. None of those tracts are perfect, okay? And so they're arguing about the tract they just paid for. There's a bill introduced this legislative session that we cannot use the subject property as a comp in appraisal analysis. There's a bill introduced by some female senator down in San Antonio, where you can't use the subject property as a comp without the owner's permission. Hello?
How does that make sense?
What's a pretty good indicator?
The subject.
Subject property is not a bad indicator, is it? It's freaking comp too, by the way. But you can't use it, let's get their permission to do it. So I don't know what's going on there, but
How do you get their permission?
it's all about this, they want us to be transparent, but they want us to keep that in the head. I don't know how that works out. But anyway, it'll be a challenge. It's on legislature meeting, it's always a challenge. 2 things you don't want to see made, legislation and sausage. Sausage, they grab all the parts off the slaughter room floor and put it in the sausage tube, okay? The legislation looks real similar to that made, okay? But anyway, let's talk about the approaches, sales comparison approach. The weakness is, what's a weakness? It requires an active market. So if it asks you about a strength to the sales comparison approach, directly to the market based on sales, defensible value, a weakness would be, gotta have an active market, no separate land and improvement value. And does not value unique properties very well as you got unique comps, right? How many times taxpayers come in and will argue about their value? Well, the overall value is okay, but the land's too high. Okay, you mean raise the house and lower the land? The house is fine. The overall value is fine, but the land's too high. And some more about this, I'm not quite, it's hard to talk to them though. They get it all figured out. The land's too high, everything. Overall value's fine, but the land's too high. Well, if I lower the land, the improvement's fine. That just, and they're pretty serious about it. And you're going like, oh my God. Go get some more coffee, please. But anyway, weakness is the active market. So strength is direct to market. You're gonna have a market active, don't you? Here's my test question. I'll take my level 3. List the 6 steps or 5 steps, the sales comparison approach, and describe each in detail. Shoot me now, okay? So what we gotta do first? We gotta define the appraisal problem. We got to collect and analyze data. How many of y'all have a software program on your computer that allows you to pull comparable sales? Have that ability? Run your software, pull your subject property, it gives you parameters, you establish parameters by school district, by geo range, a neighborhood code, or whatever, and it'll pull comps for you. That's so good. We used to just do it pictures in a book a long time ago, okay? So, click the analyze data, select the appropriate units of comparison. What are you gonna compare? The acre values, square foot values, improvement values, what are you gonna compare for units of comparison? And then make reasonable adjustments. Remember, we always adjust our comps based on market data. We're always going to adjust our comps to look like our what? Subject. You're never going to adjust your subject. It's the finite item. Others are what we're trying to make match the subject property. Then we're going to apply the data to the subject to arrive at a final value estimate of value. here's some different methods of the, market approach. How many of y'all have used these are market approaching methods? How many of y'all used a multiplier before? How many of y'all got rent houses? You can use a multiplier method on a rent house, didn't you? What we did last year, we had this this land had a bunch of rental properties, and they was always hammering us on the fact that their expenses was high and their rents was low. So we did last year, we did a market analysis of residential rents. What should a house in XYZ rent for per square foot, built from 1960 and earlier, from 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 forward, cost per square foot, applied to his square foot, your rent should be X, buddy. And we had some of the sold, we developed multipliers, so we got really aggressive defensive about driving that home on those people that say that I'm only getting $300 a month and the expenses are $250 a month. No, that market's better than that, okay? And they always had lots of expenses, you know, don't even get started on that. But anyway, gross rent multiplier, or income multiplier, some of the comps should have a similar, same or similar highest and best use if you do a multiplier. Because you can't use apartment complex on a hotel, can you? And you could have the land development method on a market approach. If you've got situation here, you've got 300 acres of land, you're gonna cut it in 10-acre tracts. After you cut it in 10-acre tracts, each 10-acre tract's gonna sell for $10,000. How much is it gonna cost to survey it? How much is it gonna cost to build roads if you have to? All that thing could be in a land development method. And I'm just gonna say stock and debt method, because I never heard anybody use it. It's about your balance sheets and that stuff, and nobody's told me yet there's been a question about them, okay? Talk about the cost approach a little bit. The cost approach. The most effective use is a productivity use. We're gonna take something that's gonna build something. The strengths, go here, let's talk about on page 39. Cost approach, most effective is productivity, productive. Strengths, it does value the land and improvement separately, doesn't it? It gives you two values. It's a great way to value unique property, matchable factory, etc. And you can adjust for condition and or obsolescence. That's something you can address there on the cost approach. Some of the weaknesses requires market or income approach to value the land. And let's see. You'll give me 2 minutes. I think it's all strung up. Where'd it go? What are those things? Ooh, this complex. This is what I'm going here. I'm trying to do the same. Let's go. Okay. Okay, so everybody's been along still.
It's an A after the.
S-E-P-A,
after
P after the,
No?
SEPAR.
Uh-huh.
There we go. Get the red off of it, okay? Okay, backwards. Put it backwards, go. Good, that's better, isn't it? Yeah. And look how, I'm trying to explain to you, I don't think it's kind of confusing to me. It values land improvement separately, values unique properties, can adjust for condition and or obsolescence, requires market income to value the land. You got reproduction or replacement or reproduction costs new. Ouch. In calculation of depreciation. Remember the replacement or reproduction cost, remember those terms? What's the replacement cost? Building something of what? equal utility, reproduction costs, you're doing what? You're building a replica, wouldn't you?
Replica.
Just a couple terms there. It also, depreciation is a pain, isn't it? Depreciation would be pain. We know the house was built in 1950. It's been remodeled 16 times since then, right? Or 6 times. What's the effective age? Great question, isn't it? Is this? Huh? I never seen that signal before. There's a question mark. That's like a, I don't know. Something from the Greek alphabet in it, so I don't know. Okay. Cost approach. Let's talk about the steps in the cost approach. Here we go. A good question to always remember. What's the first step in the cost approach?
Evaluate the land, pull out the land.
Value that site. If it's vacant, that is highest and best use, okay? That's always gonna be somewhere in your future. I'm pretty sure that's gonna pop up down the road. Estimate the total cost new for improvements, including direct, indirect, and entrepreneurial profit. Don't forget the profit.